Smash Bros., Quake, Brood War. These games strike fear into the hearts of gamers worldwide. All three are packed full of mechanical challenge, meaning executing basic strategies can take huge amounts of effort, practice, and skill. But does this make a game good? My name is Harry, I'm the developer working on a new indie RTS game called Neon Marble Rust, and today I'm going to go over many of the arguments in favor of making a game full of mechanical challenge. I'll be focusing on real-time strategy games. This is not a totally comprehensive list, and I won't be going into much detail. I'll start with the big picture ideas, and the more detailed points will be at the end. Before we get to the list, I want to narrow things down a little bit. I'll be talking about this as an issue between challenge and convenience. Oftentimes people refer to accessibility or quality of life instead, but it is generally good to make a game more accessible for people who might be colorblind, deaf, or otherwise disabled. So I'll say the two sides here are challenge and convenience. Some examples of convenience features in real-time strategy games are things like worker auto mining, infinite unit select, multi-building selection, all army and idle worker buttons, and automated production. There are many others, particularly if you go deep into a specific game. The general argument in favor of these mechanics is that they make the game easier. There are many other arguments, of course, but we're here to talk about why challenge matters. Mechanical challenge in an RTS game is about the mouse and keyboard, the work a player needs to do to execute their strategy. In general, mechanical challenge can be achieved by simply removing convenience features. You can also add challenge by making the game faster, increasing the size of bases and armies, and giving units castable abilities. Games like StarCraft Brood War or Age of Empires 2 are examples of RTS games with significant mechanical challenge. Age of Mythology had automated unit production. Age of Empires 3 had a unit squad system and removed farm reseeding. And StarCraft 2 added auto mining and an all-army button. But many modern games like Company of Heroes, Iron Harvest, Northgard, Battle Aces, and others make RTS more convenient by removing whole sections of the game. Alright, so let's get to the list. Number 1. Is the game a product or a medium? This is the biggest perspective I could come up with. A product is meant to be consumed, while a medium is made for expression. A game can be either. This isn't necessarily a PvE or PvP thing, or even a casual versus hardcore. Using mechanical challenge to push players to their limits can be an important part of building a medium of expression. Players can be aggressive, defensive, tricky, or wise, and without mechanical challenge, players will be more focused on making the optimal play. Number 2. Locus of control and player agency. Is the player in control of the game? Do they feel like they have a sense of agency? Without mechanical challenge, the game can feel at times like it's playing itself. When a player loses a match or mission, a lack of agency can make the player feel like the game isn't balanced. This is because after a defeat, they may feel like there was nothing they could have done differently to change the outcome. With mechanical challenge, the player knows that they could always play better. Number 3. What does it look like when a player makes a mistake? Challenge versus convenience isn't about the total challenge in the game, it's about where the challenge is in the game. And if it's not in the mechanics, it has to be elsewhere. In a game with enough mechanical challenge, players' mistakes will look like idle workers, a large resource bank, poor engagements, and missed opportunities. These mistakes are oftentimes easier to recognize, but without mechanical challenge, a player's mistakes can become more abstract and theoretical. Number 4. Talent or effort. What do people want to see? People want to see the freak show. There are 5 billion people in the world that work hard every day. Whether it's professional tournaments, speedruns, or anything else, people want to see the most talented perform at the highest possible levels. Mechanical challenge is the most straightforward way to push players to their limits. Number 5. Organic balance. Mechanical challenge means it takes longer for players to perfect their strategies, and thus the meta shifts slower. As a result, the community has the opportunity to use custom maps or other means to keep the game balanced without patches, which in turn creates a legacy effect, where old matches and tutorials are still relevant years later. Number 6. Is it fun to get good, or is it fun to get better? Mechanical challenge can make a game more fun to play in the long term. because players will get better as they practice. And unlike memorizing builds or unit composition, mechanical challenge can be like riding a bike. Leaving the game for a while, and when you come back, you can jump right back in. There is a specific joy in doing what used to be impossible for you. Number 7. What players choose to practice. Pushing optimal play far beyond what people are capable of means that players get better no matter what they practice. Hitting a skill cap with some element of the game means that there is no point in continuing practicing that element. Even if there is so much as diminishing returns, players will be incentivized to improve upon their weaknesses. As a result, if a game is too convenient to play, players at the highest levels can all end up playing the same style. If done correctly, mechanical challenge allows players to double down on their strengths and not be wasting valuable practice time. Number 8. Challenging mechanics can lead to new strategies. If it is hard for your opponent to execute their build, simply distracting them can be an effective way to slow them down. Also, mechanical challenge allows players to use a knuckleball strategy. Such a strategy is one players rarely see and requires extra time to prepare for. Convenience features can reduce the effectiveness of these knuckleball strategies. Number 9. Unintended effects of convenience. Sometimes quality of life features have unforeseen effects by the developer. If such effects are found, the devs must choose between ignoring it or finding a fix. Such fixes may lead to more issues down the road. Number 10. Convenience challenge impacts on low-level and high-level players. If one faction is easier than another, the easy faction will be overpowered among casual players, but underpowered among professionals. Thus, adding or removing mechanical challenge from some factions may be needed to keep the game balanced at all levels. Number 11. Convenience features can take the edge off of some mechanics. Oftentimes the most exciting moments in a mission or a match are these sharp edges, situations where an engagement can go one of many different ways. Jank adds chaos and uncertainty to an RTS game, and smoothing everything out can make it dull. Number 12. Challenge can add negative feedback. In game design terms, positive feedback refers to rewards for success, while negative feedback would be attacks. The classic example of negative feedback would be in basketball, where when one team scores, the other team gets possession. In RTS games, the more stuff you have, the harder it is to control. So if a player gets ahead, that means the game becomes harder for them. This is a fundamental factor in games with mechanical challenge. Number 13. Convenience and challenge impacts on defender's advantage. If you're attacked in the early game, then you only need to keep your camera on your base. However, the attacker has to fight in one base and make units in the other base. With mechanical challenge, this becomes much more taxing. I'm not saying that defender's advantage is super important, just that changing the level of challenge or convenience will affect balance between the attacker and defender. And then the last one here, number 14, mechanical challenge reduces the value of build orders. Build orders can be controversial in RTS. Some players like that good planning can get them wins, while other players get frustrated losing because of choices they made before they could even scout their opponent. Mechanical challenge means that players are more likely to mess up their build, and it also means more skilled players can overcome bad strategic luck. Alright, so here's the whole list, all 14 points. Lastly, I want to talk about the essence of RTS. RTS games are, more than anything else, about multitasking. The faster they play and the more efficient they are, the stronger players will be. RTS games are about the abilities players to execute a strategy in real time. It's about planning ahead, prioritizing actions, and muscle memory. RTS games should make the player feel like they are the commander, in control of their base and their army. Yeah, so that's all for now. Thanks for watching.